stop right now. What if I told you the greatest mystery of life, what happens after we die, has already been answered? Imagine an ancient text, whispered about for centuries, that claims to hold the truth. A guide so powerful, it doesn't just describe death, it takes you through it. But here's the catch. If you don't understand its teachings, you risk losing your way forever. This isn't just a story. This is the Tibetan Book of the Dead, a sacred guide that has the power to transform not just how you die, but how you live. Let me ask you something. With all our technology, with all the breakthroughs humanity has made, why does this one question remain so elusive? What happens after we die? Despite our advancements, we are no closer to the truth than the monks of ancient Tibet, and maybe that's why this text still holds such incredible power. It dares to answer the unanswerable. This book tells us something revolutionary, that consciousness doesn't end with death. Instead, it journeys through realms we can't even begin to imagine. Each stage of this journey offers incredible possibilities: enlightenment, liberation, or rebirth. Here's where things get fascinating. The descriptions in this ancient text written over 1,000 years ago match up with modern accounts of near-death experiences. People who've come back from the brink of death speak of a brilliant light, meeting spiritual beings, and feeling an indescribable peace. Could it really be a coincidence? Or is this book showing us the very fabric of consciousness itself? Now, think about the implications of this. What if these teachings don't just prepare us for death, but show us how to live with clarity and purpose? What if every decision we make, every moment of awareness we cultivate, shapes the journey we take when this life ends? Let me paint a picture for you. At the heart of this teaching is the concept of the Bardo, a transitional state. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes 3 stages of this journey. The first begins the moment you die. Imagine a blinding light, a pure, all-encompassing radiance that holds the ultimate truth. This isn't just an ending. It's the clearest, most profound reality you'll ever encounter. In that moment, you're given a choice. Recognize this light as your true nature, and you can achieve ultimate liberation. But miss it, and the journey continues. This is where the second stage begins. You're surrounded by visions, some peaceful, others terrifying. But here's the twist. These aren't external forces, they're projections of your own mind. The Tibetan Book of the Dead tells us that every fear, every longing, every unresolved emotion you carry will take form here. And then comes the final stage, the threshold of rebirth. In this stage, your consciousness, stripped of its physical body, is drawn toward its next life. Every thought, every intention, every action you've ever taken shapes the reality you'll be born into next. But here's the most important part. You don't have to wait until death to experience these truths. The teachings of this book show us that every moment of life mirrors these transitions. Every time you stand at a crossroads, facing a life-altering choice, you're experiencing a bardo. Take a moment to let that sink in. Think about the transitions in your own life, the moments of uncertainty, the choices that have shaped who you are. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is just about what happens after death. It's a reminder that every moment of life is an opportunity for transformation, and as you hear this, you might feel a mix of awe and fear. That's the exact reaction this text is meant to provoke. It challenges us to confront the ultimate truths of existence, to face what we often avoid thinking about. Now, let's step deeper into the teachings. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of everything you've ever known. Behind you is the life you've lived, every memory, every attachment, every regret. In front of you, a light so brilliant, so overwhelming, it feels like it holds the secrets of the universe itself. This is the moment of death, the first bardo. The Tibetan Book of the Dead tells us that this isn't just the end of life, it's the gateway to ultimate liberation. The blinding light you see in something external. It's the pure essence of your own mind, stripped of all distractions. But here's the challenge. In that moment, can you recognize it for what it truly is? If you can, you'll break free from the endless cycle of life and death. You'll experience enlightenment in an instant. But most people, unprepared for this encounter, retreat. The light feels too overwhelming, too unfamiliar. And just like that, the opportunity slips away. Think about the implications of this. What if, at the very end of life, you're presented with a chance to reach enlightenment, a chance more powerful than any other moment you've ever experienced? Would you be ready for it? The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches us that preparation is key. Through mindfulness, meditation, and spiritual practice, we can train ourselves to recognize this light, even in life. Every moment of clarity, every time we let go of fear or attachment, we're preparing for this pivotal moment. But what happens if you miss it? The journey continues into the second Bardo, the stage of visions. Now, picture this. You're surrounded by breathtaking sights, some peaceful, others terrifying. Divine beings of radiant light appear before you, alongside wrathful figures with faces of fire and fury. But here's the twist. None of these beings are separate from you. They're all projections of your own mind. The peaceful figures represent your highest qualities: compassion, wisdom, and clarity. The wrathful ones, they're the parts of yourself you've feared or denied: your anger, your attachments, your insecurities. This stage is a mirror, showing you everything you've carried within. Can you face these visions without fear? Can you see them for what they truly are, reflections of your own consciousness? For those who are prepared, this is another opportunity for liberation. By recognizing these beings as aspects of yourself, you can transcend the illusions of the mind. But for many, the fear is too great. They retreat, unable to confront the raw truth of their own existence. Think about this for a moment. What if the same forces you encounter in the afterlife are present within you right now? The anger, the compassion, the fear, they're not just future challenges. They're shaping your life today. Let's pause here and reflect. Every fear you avoid, every emotion you suppress, will one day demand your attention. The Tibetan Book of the Dead doesn't just prepare us for death, it teaches us how to face ourselves, here and now. Imagine how your life could change if you approached every moment, every challenge, with the awareness that it's an opportunity for growth. If you could look at your fears and say, "I see you, and I'm not afraid." Now, let's take a breath and move into the third and final Bardo, the threshold of rebirth. Imagine you're floating in a formless sea. Everything you've ever known is gone, and yet, something is pulling you forward. It's a magnetic force, like gravity, drawing you toward a new reality, a new life. You've entered the Bardo of rebirth, the stage where everything you've ever thought, felt, and experienced shapes your next incarnation. Picture this: your consciousness, free from the physical world, is now like a magnet, drawing in the elements that will shape your next life. Every desire, every attachment, every unresolved emotion that you carried in your past life begins to form the reality you will live in next. The stakes could not be higher. This is where your every thought and every action in your past life shapes the next chapter of your soul's journey. What's even more profound, that in this stage, you are both the artist and the canvas. Your consciousness is painting the reality of your next life. The Bardo of rebirth is not a passive journey. It's a moment of intense creation, where your soul draws everything toward itself. But here's the key point. This process is not random. It's not controlled by some external force. It's shaped by the very state of your mind. The kind of life you will enter next depends on the energy you've cultivated in this one. If you've lived a life full of fear, attachment, and unresolved desires, your visions in this stage will be dark and tumultuous. But if you've cultivated wisdom, kindness, and clarity, your next life will be filled with opportunities for growth and transformation. So, let me ask you, what kind of life are you creating right now? Every action, every thought, and every decision you make is a step toward that next life. Your karma, the accumulation of your actions, will determine which vision pulls you toward it. But here's the real challenge. Even in this Bardo, there is still a chance for you to influence your fate. The visions you encounter aren't set in stone. They are doorways that you can choose to walk through with awareness, or retreat from in fear. The more clarity you have, the more control you can have over the direction of your next life. Now, take a moment. Think about the choices you make every day. Your actions, your thoughts, the energy you project. These things aren't just affecting your life today. They are shaping the reality of your future, your next incarnation. Every moment of awareness, every act of kindness or compassion is an investment in your future. This is where the teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead hit home. It's not just about the afterlife. It's about how you live now. Your current life is a preparation for what comes next. Every challenge, every difficult moment is a chance for you to refine your consciousness, to shape your karma. So, let me ask you again, how are you living? Are you creating the life you want for your future? Or are you letting fear, anger, and attachment shape your journey? We're about to dive even deeper, but let me pause here for a moment. How are you feeling so far? Do you see how these teachings aren't just about death, but about living with more awareness, more purpose? Think about how each choice, each interaction, is contributing to the story of your soul. If you're ready to take this deeper, keep watching, because there's still so much to uncover. As we near the end of this journey, imagine yourself standing at the crossroads of your life. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches us that the choices we make today don't just shape the future, they shape the very essence of our souls. The energy, the thoughts, and the intentions you carry today, the very forces that will draw your consciousness into its next phase. Now, I know this may sound overwhelming, but here's the truth. You have more control than you think. Every moment you experience is an opportunity to cultivate clarity, compassion, and awareness. The practices shared in the Tibetan Book of the Dead are not just reserved for those who are nearing death. They are tools for the living. Each breath, each action, each thought can bring you closer to liberation. Think about it. What if you approached every single day as a training ground for your soul? Every challenge, every moment of doubt, every fear could be transformed into a stepping stone toward the life you truly desire, the soul you truly wish to become. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. What are you doing right now to shape your future? Are you cultivating the energy that will lead to enlightenment, or are you letting fear and attachment hold you back? The choice, in the end, is always yours. The Tibetan teachings give us a powerful reminder that death is not to be feared. It's a doorway, a transition, and if you're prepared, it can lead to ultimate freedom. But even more importantly, they show us how to live, how to make each moment meaningful, each action deliberate, each choice one that brings us closer to our highest potential. And here's where we take it even further. As you reflect on these teachings, I want you to ask yourself, how can you use what you've learned today to transform your life right now? What will you do differently? How can you start living with the same awareness, purpose, and clarity that the Tibetan Book of the Dead encourages? Take a moment, reflect, think about the life you want to create, not just for yourself, but for all the souls you encounter in this life and the next. This is where your journey truly begins. By living consciously, by embracing impermanence, and by understanding that each moment is precious, you unlock the ability to navigate not just death, but life itself with wisdom, courage, and peace. I want to hear from you. What changes will you make today to start living with more awareness? Drop a comment below and share how this ancient wisdom has impacted you. Let's start a conversation about how we can begin to live consciously and with purpose every single day.